Hello everybody, how's it going? I'm the Timmeister and welcome back to Dunswell. In today's episode, I want to play around with our budgets. So in the last episode, I got a few comments from you guys saying that I should lower my budgets for pretty much everything. And I was wondering okay, why? Because initially when I started this series, I was getting a few comments saying that I should max everything out, therefore increasing the efficiency of all my services, and by doing so I would have to place less buildings such as hospitals and schools and whatnot, so I wouldn't be paying as much maintenance fees and whatever. But apparently that's not the case. So I've been doing a little bit of research, and apparently it's more expensive to do it this way than it is to just lower the budget for everything and place more buildings. All right, because as I raise, let's just say our healthcare budget to 150%, it also raises the cost to run those services. So basically the maintenance costs on all the hospitals and whatnot goes up with raising the budget. So I wasn't aware of that at the start. I was basically just reading these little things here saying that, oh, it allows for more vehicles to be at our disposal, and it would make our hospitals more efficient, but it also raises the cost. So it's actually cheaper, come to find out, to lower the budget for most things and to just place more of them. So to place more schools or to place more hospitals and whatnot. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play around with our budget and make the city run a little bit more efficiently and a little more cheaply, because as you can see, our budget's not doing very good right now. Although I don't really understand why. Sometimes my budget is like I'm making 100,000 a week. Sometimes I'm losing 100,000 a week. I don't know why it fluctuates so much, but anyways, I seem to be running in the red a little bit more frequently lately. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this list here, similar to how the last episode was, and we're just going to budget things accordingly. All right, so first thing here is our road maintenance, and basically this adjusts the budget to decide how many vehicles road maintenance and snow dump services have at their disposal. Well, I don't have one road maintenance building in the whole city, and I don't have any plows because we're not on a winter map. So I'm gonna actually lower this down to maybe 50%. Oh wait, okay, so that's the minimum. The minimum is 50%. So I can't actually eliminate the whole budget altogether. So I think this is gonna take a minute to go down. So anyway, let's move on to electricity. Now this I have to be careful because as I lower my budget, for example, I'm just going to lower this back down to 100%, and you'll see, boom, I lose a ton of electricity production. Okay, so I think for electricity, I'm just going to keep this at 150, just because I don't want to have power plants all over town, and yeah. Same thing for water. If I do this, for example, I'm just going to lower my water budget. Boom, that does a pretty big damper on our water availability, so I'm just going to max this out at 150%. So we don't have to place as many buildings. In terms of garbage, let's see what this does here. What does this do? The more money the garbage facilities have at their disposal, the more vehicles they can send out. Now this isn't really a huge problem in the city. There's not a ton of garbage piling up everywhere, so I think I could probably lower this back down to 100%. Garbage processing status is still pretty high. Landfill usage is quite high, but I'll just place down more landfills as we need. And then healthcare. What does this do exactly? I think, yeah, it just creates more ambulances, basically. I'm going to lower this down to 100% because health has never been a real big problem in Dunswell before. There was never, unless there's a big death wave or something, this hasn't been that much of an issue. Fire as well, I think this is the same thing. The number of fire engines and disaster relief unit vehicles available is dictated by the budget. There's not a ton of fires in the city. Now I know the fire hazard is quite high, but this is just due to the large forests that are all over town. So if I go, if I check here, where is my fire service? Oh, yeah, here. So yeah, you can see like all around town is some pretty hefty fire hazards, but for this I can just place like helicopter pads and stuff on the outskirts of town, and then that should help out. Okay, so next up, what do we have? Our police budget. This, the number of vehicles, police buildings, and banks have depend on the budget. Crime rate is quite low, 5%. I'm going to lower this down to 100% also, and then we'll see if our crime rate goes up. But, I mean, yeah, we don't have a lot of prisoners. Education, so schools, universities, campus areas with a high budget can teach more students. Now I'm going to lower this because we don't really have that many students in town. Let's just double check here with our capacity though. See, well, elementary schools, we're eventually going to need some more. Same thing with high school. I mean, universities were maxed out, and public library usage is quite low, but I mean, we have way too much capacity. So let's lower this down to 100%. All right. Parks, if the budget is large, parks and plazas are more well maintained and create more happiness. Now, if I check my happiness screen, I would say that people are quite happy in Dunswell. Offices and businesses, not so much, but, you know, the average person is quite happy. So I think we can take a hit here in terms of happiness. I don't think it's going to change much, but it's going to save us a few bucks. I mean, look at that. Look, we reversed our weekly income. We're way in the green now, and we're doing good. We have 7 million in the bank, so I think this is the most the city has ever had, honestly. But yeah, things are on the upswing. So now unique buildings and museums create more happiness and increase the city attractiveness with more funding. I guess, yeah, whatever. Oh, and I forgot to mention too. So basically the numbers work out to if I increase the budget to 150% on a particular thing, you're paying 50% more, but you're only getting a 25% efficiency bonus, if you will. Like you're only getting 25% more services out of paying 50% more. So it's actually cheaper just to leave everything at 100% in most cases and just place more buildings, like I said earlier. So I just wanted to reiterate that. So in terms of industrial areas, let's check what this is. Higher budget increases the extractors, processing buildings, unique factories, and fishing related buildings production rates, as well as allows them to house more vehicles. I just want to check my fishing industry. There's not really much information on it. I think I'll just lower it back down to 100%. Now, in terms of this is all transportation. This is where things might get interesting. So I boost everything to 150%, but as you can see, some of these services do not exist in Dunswell at all, such as like trolley buses, trams, what else? Monorails, we don't have anything, and cable cars, and tours. Now, honestly, there's not, like, even if I would lower all of these things down to 100%, I'm not going to be saving a ton of money. Like, look at this. Like, even trains, it's only costing me $11,000 per month. The number of trains available depend on the budget. I guess if I lower this to 100%, I'm probably not going to be saving a ton of money. I guess trains are not like a huge mode of transportation in Dunswell, so I guess I'll lower that. But everything else, like even maxed out at 150%, the whole bus network is only costing me $10,000. Same with Metro. Honestly, I think I'm just going to leave this at 150%. Maybe the airport we can lower. Let's see what this does. Air transport, the hangar, blimp depot, and helicopter depot can house more vehicles with higher funding. Air transport funding also affects attractiveness bonus that decoration buildings give to the airport area. I think I may lower air transportation back down to 100%, just because there is some savings to be had here. Yeah, I think I might do that. And not only that, see, it doesn't really say. Right now the issue is, let's go take a look at the airport. Look at this. Look at this mess. Like, I mean, the mess is mostly concentrated over to the industrial area. I don't think the car or the passenger terminal is causing that much traffic, but you know, the airport is kind of overburdened right now. And I was hoping that maybe if I was to reduce the budget, it would reduce the amount of planes in the area. Kind of like, you know, the hangar, blimp depot, and helicopter depot can house more vehicles with higher funding. Well, I don't necessarily want that, because the airport is quite busy. So anyway, I'm going to lower it down to 100%, because I've already saved like almost $10,000 a month just by doing that. And like I was saying, like, look, taxis, I don't know how many taxi stands I have in town. I probably have maybe 10, maybe a dozen, and it's only costing me like $500. So lowering this down to 100% isn't going to have much of an effect. So same thing over here with the postal service. You know what? It's not costing me much, so I'm just going to leave it as is. Let's just see here. The higher budget, the more buses are available in the city. Residents are more likely to select an inner-city bus when they travel outside the city. Okay. I guess I'll leave the bus network at 150. It's not that much of a big cost. So, yeah, I think I'll leave this as is. However, the ferry service... Harbor and Ferry Depot can support more ships and ferries with higher budget. This is costing me almost $18,000, and I only have one ferry service in the whole city, which is not being used a ton. Like, here, let me lower that. And, I mean, there's huge savings to be had here. So, let me just check. Wait. Ferry service. See, I only have one ferry line. We have 144 passengers, 2 vehicles, 2 stops. Like, it's not a heavily used mode of transportation, so I think it's probably best that I lower the budget for that. So we went from 17,000 to below 15. It's probably going to take some time to go down, but here, let's speed up the time here. Now, another thing I could touch on is taxes. However, early game, I set everything to 12%, as 12% is basically the threshold to where people stop complaining. So anything higher, residents are going to start to move out of town, they're going to leave, you're going to get a lot of abandonment, you're going to get everybody complaining to chirpy here. So 12% is normally the highest that I ever go. Some people say go up to 13, some people stop at 11. That's basically the consensus, what I've gathered reading online. But anyways, I'm just going to leave everything at 12%. One thing that I don't really understand, though, is these tax policies. Now, I kind of understand in the sense that, you know, maybe you want to set certain tax policies for certain zones. So I think this is why they're available as city policies. But I mean, it doesn't really make sense to like enact one of these policies and it'll raise tax rates by 2% where you can just go in here and raise them. So it's kind of redundant, but it makes sense if you want to apply certain policies to certain areas, which I'm not going to do. There is one policy, though, that was mentioned in my last episode. This one here, let go of leisure. I'm not going to enact this. Basically what this does is leisure specialized areas stop generating tax income, but it increases the entertainment and attractiveness value of that area. So I won't enact that, but it's another option if we wanted to. But yeah, I think these adjustments are going to help out, because look at that. We're making over $100,000 a month now, or a week. And that's going to free up so much more money to upgrade our public transportation system. So I kind of mentioned that in this episode I was going to get into upgrading our public transportation system, specifically the metro network. but that's going to go into next episode. But what I was saying is, with the extra income that we're receiving, I can vastly expand on our public transportation network, and it's basically going to pay for itself. So this video was a little shorter than my usual, but I hope you enjoyed it anyways. So next episode, guys, we'll get into the metro network and into bus networks and all that kind of fun stuff. So stay tuned until then. But until then, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to get notified for the next release. And leave a like, leave a comment down with any other suggestions or any criticism or whatever. Everything is welcome. So again, I thank you guys for watching. And until the next episode, guys, take care.